Hi, it's Marie from LivingFelt, and today we have a fun show for you for wet felting that we call Sampling for Success. I had the opportunity to do a very special project with my dear friend Dawn Edwards, which I know many of you know. We were commissioned to do a project and we chose wet felting and creating a few little changes that would allow us to experiment with creating samples around a vessel or something functional, useful, or decorative rather than something just flat. There are 2 wet felting tutorials that spawned from this project, so watch for those. But for now, I hope you enjoy this segment. I'm Marie Spalding.
And I'm Dawn Edwards.
And Dawn has traveled from Chile, Michigan, all the way to visit me here in Texas.
And it's been beautiful, Marie. Thank you so much for making for such nice weather for me and going back home to snow. So this has been a real treat.
It's been fun. So Dawn has joined me here at LivingFelt. We're just so thrilled to be part of this year's IFA conference and grateful too. We were really inspired by this year's topic, Let's Get Technical, and we decided to take a really simple approach.
Yes, we decided to do a topic sampling for success using a variety of wools and shapes, though they all started out on a 7-inch template using 1 ounce of wool. Just by cutting different openings, we were able to achieve different sizes and shapes.
Right. So our resist was just perfectly round. That was the agreement. We decided to stay with fairly neutral colors that we were inspired by. And we brought together fibers from our 2 stashes. Actually, first we felted vessels on our own, following the parameters that we outlined. And we all know that, we all acquire fibers in a variety of ways. And we know that it's really important to make samples, but sometimes making a flat sample just isn't all that inspiring.
Right. This was a great way to sample because we ended up with a little variety of vessels that I think were fun to put together, fun being with you.
Yeah.
And doing this collaborative project, I've been inspired by that.
We enjoyed exploring the process this way. We found that making vessels was a really fun way to make samples because it doesn't matter what the outcome is. You're going to learn something. You'll have something that you can refer back to. And whether it's for your own exploration or for your own teaching practice, having a vessel is just a really great way to explore how fibers interact, how your design elements interact, and as you said, the variety we can get just from where you cut the hole.
Right. And that was all thanks to you because when we were talking via Zoom, you said something to the effect of just cutting the openings in different places, leads to different shaped vessels. And I thought, you're right. That is so cool. I was so glad that you mentioned that because that was just a really fun experimentation for me.
Yeah, it's been really fun. We're going to share with you the fibers that we used. We will also go through all the vessels that we created on our own and just share little insights that we gained, after making them. And then we came together, looked at all the samples, the fibers, and the vessels that we made, and then we chose 2 more vessels to make as part of this collaboration. So we'll share the making of those vessels.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just as a result of the sampling fun.
And it really was so much fun. And so I encourage people to get a felting friend or, buddy, whether it be via Zoom or in person, and just, have a play date. We'd like to show you some of the fibers that we used in our vessel experimentation. So we've got several different colors of 19.5 merino top, very nice to work with. We've also got 19.5 short fiber merino, and we've got 19.5 micron pre-felt in merino.
A little less processed, we used a local alpaca from a local farm, and this is a very thin little roving. We think it's around 21 or 22 microns with a bit of a hairy factor. Then we used MC1 batting, which is around 25 microns, and it's a USA fiber. We used Icelandic. You use this one, Dawn. It's also a batting, and it's around 27 microns.
Yes.
More coarse, more wiry, more hairy. And then we both used Bergschaf, which a lot of us can get.
Yes.
And we used it in white and brown, and this is around a 30 micron. No matter whether your fibers are fine or coarse or in between, even prepared like a pre-felt, we just want to encourage you to pull them out and try them for your samples.
The parameters for our vessel making were a 7-inch circular resist and 1 ounce of fiber.
Yep, 1 ounce of wool. So all of these vessels we made prior to coming together, and we decided to explore using different types of wool, different types of embellishments, and cutting the hole or releasing the resist with a different shape. We came together, we looked at samples that we brought, embellishments that we brought, the vessels that we made, and then we chose the 2 vessels that we made for this project.
Yep.
And right now what we're going to do is, if for those who are interested, is show you each vessel, the fiber and the embellishments that were used for them, and just point out anything maybe that we got from that, making that particular vessel.
So these are 2 vessels that I brought, again, on the same 7-inch template. This using Icelandic wool, and this using Merino, 19.5 Merino, and I believe this was somewhere in the 25 to 27 micron range. And so one, you can see the difference in the size, the shrinkage between the 2 different fibers. And then I just wanted to show you basically how you can take a very simple vessel and you can jazz it up by adding, some beading or stitching. For this, I wanted it to look kind of like an urchin. And so I just added some little metal beads topped by these little white glass beads. And then I never throw anything away, Marie. So I also brought just the opening that I cut for both of these. So you can see how small that was. And then I just stretched it just a tiny bit.
This vessel is Bergschaf, which is around 30 micron. And for the design elements, I chose a cotton fabric, some what I call silky paper, and some handmade pre-felt. This is the fabric that I used, which is a cotton fabric that I imported from India. And I've used it before, so I did know how it was going to behave, but I never used it with Bergschaf. So I wanted to see how I liked it. And what I call the silky paper, which Dawn ends up working with later, we made a video showing how to make this silky paper, and then I cut it out just like we use pre-felts. And then handmade pre-felts as well are actually this little blob is a handmade pre-felt, and the silky papers kept more structure. One thing about this vessel is it got a really nice halo. And when people are brand new, the halo sometimes surprises them, but I found it complimentary, and it wasn't so much that it drowned out the design elements. And then the last thing was to block this vessel. It was blocked with beads in the bottom so that I could sit it flat. And then I filled a grocery bag with water so that it had weight and would sit on top of the beads. And that way I get the top round and the bottom flat.
So this vessel, I used a 19.5 Merino, black Merino tops. And then I found some beautiful printed silk. And I love anything that's kind of got a script appearance to it. So that is what I used for the Nuno felting portion of this. And then for the vessel opening, I cut the top of the vessel, and so it gave it a little taller appearance.
And then as you fold it, when you fold it to favor the bead elongated.
Right,
centigrade.
yes, I shaped it in my hands and in a reed blind, and then I inserted a balloon in it and shaped it a little bit more with my hands.
So this little vessel was a fun experiment. I wet felted using our PFM Prefelt over a resist. I used a chunky, funky yarn and wool neps and sari silk waist. And then it was blocked just over a balloon. What I think's notable is that the Prefelt felts so readily that there weren't much in the way of long fibers to come up and migrate over this chunky, funky yarn. So it caused it to sit right on top. But you can see migration right here through the sari silk waist. So when it was a low profile, it absorbed, but the higher it was, there were no fibers to reach that high.
I love the texture of
You
it,
do?
though.
Yeah.
I really like it.
It's loose, but anyway, it's just a good thing to note.
Yes. So for this vessel, I used a brown Bergschaf bat. It's about 30 microns. And then I used some tube yarn that's a wool blend, and stretched that over the top. And the one thing that I learned with this, the Bergschaf tends to eat some of the embellishing fibers. So if you really wanted your embellishments, your fibers, more pronounced, I would probably maybe use a little more or something a little brighter, just so that it showed a bit more. I also embedded some of these glass mosaic pieces into the Bergschaf, and then I overlaid more Bergschaf, and then I opened those up to reveal those after the felting process.
Those are really romantic colors together.
Well, I wanted them to match the set.
To follow Dawn's Bergschaf Vessel, where she said her embellishment fibers got eaten up, I chose my Alpaca Vessel. I'd never felted with this alpaca before, and it came from a local ranch. It felt so soft and nice, and I wanted to see it with my beautiful dyed hankies on top. This lovely alpaca just seems so earthy and sweet, and then I decided to put my bright hand-dyed hankies on top, and the fiber just absolutely swallowed it up, and it looks incredibly dull. So that was a really great lesson for me, is that this hairy fiber, I still kind of thought that the hankies would sit on top of it, but it absolutely swallowed it. Yeah. So yeah, if you're going for fuzz, this would be a good option. Now I know. And we trimmed this a bit, but there's just no getting past that hair.
This was made on a 7-inch circular resist, and I think it would be kind of hard to tell that based on how it ended up. But I used the natural or white Merino top, 19.5 microns. And then I used a layer of fairly light layout, black 19.5 merino top, and then placed my cutout resist over top of that, and then covered it again with another layer of white. And it's funny because when Marie and I were looking at these yesterday, this vessel, Marie said, "Oh, did you bring your gray wool?" And I hadn't had enough coffee at that point, and I thought, "Oh no, I didn't." Oh, and then I thought, I didn't use gray. I used white and black, and so you can see how that little bit of black migrated both inside and outside, and it does look quite gray. So I think that's interesting. And then I blocked this. Well, so first of all, I should say that I cut the top edge of that circular template off, opened that up, healed all of the edges, of course, and then I blocked that just like you would do with a hat around just a glass jar that I had. And so that is basically how, this particular vessel was made in a nutshell.
It's so cute. It looks like a perfect thing for like bath salts or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, like something. Yeah,
Exactly.
Just the spoon
I've got a little cork lid that goes with it. So
Nice.
that's a good idea. I will put that in the bathroom with some bath salts.
And not only did the black migrate,
Right.
but the white migrated
Yes.
and dulled the black.
It did.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Because it does. It looks like two different shades of gray, doesn't it? Yeah.
For my last vessel, I kept it very simple and I made it just a straight brown and I used Merino short fiber bats. Right now, this vessel is very plain and I actually didn't shrink it 100%. I was just happy with it where it was. The only thing really about the Merino short fiber to point out is that it felt so quickly. It's a great place to start, like if you're felting with kids or if people are brand new. It's great for 3D felting because it's like, if you say melts like butter, felts like Merino short fiber. It felt so quickly. We actually chose to use that later in our vessels as well.
So this we're calling our friendship vessel because it was made as one vessel and then cut in two. So one will be for me and one will be for Marie. And we'll have an example of how this was made later on, and you'll be able to see exactly what we did. The fiber that I used was just a kind of a knitted black yarn, and then 19.5 merino top. I laid the yarn over the top of the template and then placed the merino over that, so it was kind of laid out in reverse. So both of these, it would have been like so. And then when I cut that resist in half, I just flipped one inside out and left one as it was. And the one thing I really like about this yarn is I think it again looks similar to script. When it's inside, it almost looks like it. It's got a little message. So.
Oh, right.
So you'll have to figure that message out.
One thing about that, so you made this one with the design inside, and I did the same with this vessel, and I forgot to mention that, but this one was laid out on the resist and then the fiber over the top.
Yes.
So we had a lot of similarities like that.
Those are kind of fun to do. So yeah.
Fun. From our samples that we made together, then we chose some of those design elements for the vessels.
Right.
Well, the vessels that we made on our own, we chose some of those design elements to make on the vessels that we made as part of our sharing with you.
It's been great. So
be sure to check out the Friendship Vessel tutorial and the Crack Mud Vessel tutorial in this series, or you can visit feltingtutorials.com to view the entire Sampling for Success workshop free. I hope you had fun, y'all. I hope this is interesting. Leave us a comment down below so we know your favorite takeaway. I know I had a great time filming this with my friend Dawn, and we hope you find it valuable as well. If this is interesting to you, check out this video next or visit our Wet Felting Over Resist playlist. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much, y'all.